Yeah, so yesterday we had a bit of an announcement. So about 9 months ago, we had that bombshell that was dropped on us from the venue when they were told us that Jas, the owner of the venue, the bar, etc., and the land, etc., was retiring and was going to sell the property to property development. It was going to put in planning permission and obviously just sell it and turn it all into accommodation, giving us a kind of a year's notice that at the end of 2024 the venue was going to close. And the idea was that Bob and the rest of the team were looking for a new location. And then, of course, there was an announcement yesterday. It looks like he's got the foot in the door that is giving him the opportunity, should he be able to raise the capital of £2 to £2.2 million to buy the property, and then obviously do it, which I love. It's great news that the foot's in the door, but it's literally you've basically got the door, you've cracked it open at this point. The door's not fully open. You're not through the door. You haven't got There's a lot involved here, and it's great to see the comments I've seen online. Everyone saying this is great news. It's amazing. I think what we should touch on is exactly what's involved now, from what our understanding about what potentially needs or what potentially Bob's going to be looking to do. So, Kirk, you wanted to touch base on some of the bullet points you mentioned?
Yeah, Dave. The important thing you've said there is the headline figure, 2.2 million. Is what it's going to cost to purchase it. I mean, I don't know. Do you want me to go through some of the economics of that? Now I've done a bit of number crunching to show that there might be some skepticism.
I mean, I was really amazed at the sort of stats, as it were, the number of shows, number of bands that have played. I mean, it's an incredible number. I mean, I've been going since 2017, but it's obviously had a rich history long before that. Another figure I've no idea about the price of properties and businesses and that kind of thing, but sort of 2.2 million is a hell of a lot of money in anybody's book, isn't it? And that's probably just as far as I can understand, the purchase of the property to secure the building and the land.
Yeah.
There's from reading the statement from Bob, the plan is as it was that I think we were told, make it a bigger functioning sort of utility that it is now, sort of gigs several nights a week with a bar downstairs. It's going to be all encompassing of rehearsal rooms, video recording rooms, cafes, bar, eating area. It's going to be the whole shebang. So if 2.2 million is the purchase price, you can add a little bit more, a lot more on that to make it into the dream that they want it to do.
About 500,000, I reckon.
Yeah, well, no idea.
So I'd say they're probably closer to about 3 million is what they need.
I mean, it's really, really good news, obviously, but it's still a long, long way to go. So we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed and wait with bated breath, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, if you just take the headline figure and exclude any outside grants or funding or loans, if you were to look at the difficulty of doing this, I mean, of course we want to do it. You would need 22,000 people to donate an average of £100 to raise those funds. So it's never going to be as simple as that, is it? Because we know that there's outside funding. So let's imagine 20% of the funding that we managed to get this figure comes from a consortium of grants. That would take care of 440,000 of that figure. So you would still need to raise 1.76 million, which again would mean you'd need 17,600 people to donate an average of £100. I always use 100 as a baseline figure, so I think it's easier. There is this vibrancy, this positivity, this enthusiasm. I just don't think it's something that people are going to rush into.
So what do you reckon out of us? What suggestions have we got that we think would work for the guys at Club 85 that could help them? So what are the ways that they're going to get 2.2 or £3 million? So let's throw some ideas out there. What would you suggest we do? So one of the options I could think of is like, you could do venue promote. You could get sponsorship. So like the O2 sponsors multiple venues, you could have the venue sponsored by someone. Advertise sponsorship deals. That's one way, because actually you don't have to give them money back. They're sponsoring you as part of the venue. And they will get something from the Musicians Trust or Venue Trust, etc. So they will be able to get some grants. And potentially you could get up to half that money in grants.
So you think 50%? Because one of my questions, I wonder how much are they budgeting for in terms of the percentage of this that they're expecting are hoping to receive from grants.
You could get up to half.
50%, that's doable.
It is doable. Crowdfunders and donations is going to be small change. That, in my opinion, I genuinely think having seen crowdfunders and sponsored events, and we're going to do a crowdfunding event where we're going to put on a gig and money in the bucket. You're making 300-400 quid. That's not going to make a dent in the 2.2 million. It's got to be a bigger concept.
You put on an all-dayer, charity gigs, people going around buckets. It's going to be small change in comparison. I'm not so excited as perhaps other people are, because it's still such a long way to go. All we're hearing now is that Jas has rethought his plans for whatever reason and given Bob the opportunity to purchase the business and the building. I mean, if there's a time frame in place, we were talking about. Say again.
I doubt it. I think the time frame of closing at the end of the year, because of the planning permission, Jas will probably not retire, and I don't think it'll be the end of the year, which means I think they've got a little bit more room to generate that. So I think you've probably got another year, in my opinion. But what I do like the idea of is, like sometimes when they're trying to build a building, you can donate to the building and you get a brick, and your brick has your name on it, and it gets laid into the foundations. So why can't there be plaques? The person donates 50 quid and it says, I don't know, Andy Edwards donated and towards microphones in Club 85, and you're on the wall in Club 85. So, and people can donate and you get recognition that way. You're not a shareholder, but you are part of the team, and you can look at the wall and see everyone's plaques who's donated. That's one thing that could generate some revenue.
There is something like that at Portland Arms. You don't often see it because it's obscured in the dark and light of the
Patreons. So here's an idea that the club is a 300 capacity venue. So you set up 300 Patreons. Each Patreon pays £10 a month, and twice a year you get a Patreon only gig. So only the patrons can go to it, all 300 of you. And that means you're generating their £3,000 a month guaranteed coming into Club 85. Just churning over, and basically you get discount. You can have 10-20% discount on concert ticket, but there's a way that means, and once you hit your 300 Patreons, no one else can join until someone quits the Patreon, because that's your capacity of your venue.
Do the numbers again on that, mate? What are the numbers?
So if you did £10 a month, 300 Patreons, whatever that is, so that's £3,000 a month
times 12. How many is that a year then?
So 36,000. So that's 36 grand, helping with the operational running costs. It's not going to help with the overall, but what it does mean is it gives you viability from people who are looking at potentially sponsoring. You raise the issue of rehearsal rooms. Where would the rehearsal rooms be in there? Because that means changing the actual structure of the building. That's building structure changes. So that's quite a big element of that, which I don't, with it being a new premises, when they were talking about it, that would have opportunities. But unless they change it, I mean, they are going to make money off the bar, which is what they currently don't do, because the bar upstairs at Club 85, Bob and the team never got any money from that. That was always Jas. So now they can actually make revenue from the alcohol sales and stuff like that. Using it for corporate events, like if you had a big business that wanted to do an end of year party or something, never seen anything like going on there, hiring out the venue as a whole. So what you've got to do is almost build a business case of what are you going to deliver out of there, so that when people do come along and go, actually, we want to sponsor the event, we can give you grants, because actually you've got a really clear business case of how you're going to make it sustainable.
Bob, Cassie, these people, they're clever people. They've been working on this for months. So I've got confidence without doing any financial due diligence at the moment. They know what they're talking.
The better. And I think more like, like when you get these touring bands that come around and they do one-off shows and stuff like that, that's the sort of thing they need to be doing. Like when Enter Shikari came down there and did the show. Stuff like that generates these special, because I don't hear that very often with Club 85. It tends to be the local metal bands and the tribute bands coming through there. So there's got to be kind of a change of usage. My one worry about the area, though, because they talk about daytime usage, parking.
I think you touched on it, Dave. I'd like to see Club 85 being on that roster of venues that touring bands in the UK, be it British bands or bands from overseas, put on the list. When you see where sort of, I can't give you an example, sort of mid-level bands that have got albums out there, they've got a record deal and everything. When they tour the UK, it's the the sort of smaller UK venues. You recognise all the names, even though you haven't been there.
Yeah.
Trillions in Newcastle, for example. Bannerman's in Edinburgh.
Crawford Arms.
The Griffin in Bristol. Yeah, Crawford Arms. I'd like to see Club 85 on that.
I've never seen it, Club 85.
You what?
I've never seen any of those bands. I've never seen a band tour. Club 85. I mean, we even saw a band. What was it? Stone Broken, which were a UK-based band. Sounds like Nickelback. They played the Hartford Corn Exchange, and you're like, I have a feeling that they're going to go for the purchase of the building. They'll try and do through trust, and they'll try and do the fundraisers to do the work on the building. But the best thing people do, rather than donate, I think we didn't actually say it. The best thing people can do is just go to every gig at Club 85. Make it so that when people look at it on a bit of paper, go, do you know what? You've got a viable venue here that has good turnouts of people coming to gigs. There we go. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the video sometime very soon. Take care.